say that again. Say that again.
So,
yeah.
I'm going to start. Are you ready to start?
Oh, sorry.
So 1, 2, 3.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. Genuinely mean that. It's great that it's a few familiar faces that I've seen before. Yeah, this is quite a sensitive subject because what I'm talking about is unheard of, and those that have heard of it are just talking about it because they've heard of it. I'm here to tell you about what's going on as a victim of this system. I've had my children stolen from me by the state. They've stolen my children. Now, the reason they've stolen them is because I've never been held on trial for anything. Not a real trial. I've been put on in what you might term as a star chamber. I think that's the right way, isn't it?
More like it.
Where when the system doesn't know how to deal with individuals, what they used to do is have these private rooms where they used to basically pounce on you with everything they've got, try and embarrass you as much as they can, and most people will end up committing suicide, and it's mostly psychological warfare basically on the citizen. But we're powerful individuals, and I'm stood here because the system either makes you or it breaks you. And being about that far away from suicide, and things like that after what's happened, not knowing where to turn, because the legal people all are in the same club, they're in the club of the bar, they look after each other, and nobody will tell on each other, as some people here have actually found. So I've been trying to, because they won't help you, I've been trying to learn things myself, and I'm here today to pass on some knowledge, because I believe that we can end all this, end the injustice. I really, really believe that we can stop all these people going around talking about the injustice in the world and that, tend to be, there was a time for sort of waking people up and saying, well, there's this new world order and all that sort of thing, but I think most people in the world are either going to be woken up by now, or are never going to be woken up, because it's that much in our faces. Now, we've been told that we've got this new system of justice, these civil courts, and as I say, that's where I've been held on trial, without a jury, for common law crimes. Now, they've done this because they've done something called leading beyond authority. Now, there's this whole common purpose conspiracy, you might say, that some people even go around talking about. It's very real, but it's not exactly a club. It's just an understanding between a lot of individuals as they look after each other in their little club. And when somebody has a problem individual that they need dealing with, then they'll surround this problem individual and back each other up. And I'm here to tell you that that's real. It's very real. And they'll talk about it with each other. They talk about their common purpose. Well, I'm here to tell you as well that we all as individuals can have a common purpose to support each other. Anything that you've had problems with, we can help each other with. We don't have to be told what to do by the system. The system treats you as a child, and we're not children. Now, my background's in computing, and before I was in the family courts, I used to have a business, and it was becoming quite successful. I had a full cash box and things were going swimmingly. Then all of a sudden I had these hearings to do with my children. That psychologically destroys you, having to hear about any abuse on any child, especially if it's your own. And that's the way these courts are designed, and thousands of people actually commit suicide each year, and it goes unreported on because nobody knows what to do. The system has got that out of the band, that this is why they want the secrecy and they need the secrecy. I'm stood here under a gagging order. There's a High Court gagging order over me, over what I can and cannot say to you today, and I'm being very specific. and hopefully we get this on video camera as well as proof. And on the High Court order it says that if I break the order, I may be committed to prison and incarcerated on a phone call. Does anybody here think that that is just or fair in any way? You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, that's wrong, and that's just a judge trying to cover for his mistakes. That's all that is. And you see some police officers are that badly trained these days that they will act upon such things, whereas quite clearly it does say that any police officer acting on bad orders, as they are, may actually have action taken against themselves for the unlawful action. And that states that quite clearly in Blackstone's Police Operational Handbook, which is a piece of training material for the police. And that's quite an interesting book that I would recommend anybody get. That's the Blackstone's Police Operational Handbook of Law. Now, because of my background in computing, I know a little bit about hacking, and this is what I've been trying to do recently with the system, is try little things, look for weaknesses in the system to break through what's going to work, what's not going to work. Because it's trial and error. Because there's nobody there, because they're all in this little club looking after each other, nobody's there to tell you what to do. You know, there's nobody there with the magic answer. And a good friend of mine who's here today once said to me, he says, imagine it's bad, and then imagine it's a lot worse than that, and then a lot worse than that, and eventually you get in there. And that's pretty much where things are. And I'm stood here today as a layman. I've been practicing law for several years now, but I am a layman. I'm a layman who has had rights of audience before magistrates, county court, Queen's Bench, appeals court, both criminal and civil. And that's not because I'm a solicitor or barrister and I don't need to wear a wig to do that. I do that because I can do that, and anybody can do that. And what I'll ask you to do is look at anything in your lives where you have had a decision made upon you, a legal decision. It could be a debt, it could be anything, but that is a legal determination that's been made on you, a judgment that's been made on you without a jury, and that's unlawful. Any judgment is unlawful without a jury unless you are consenting to it as a private contract. And forced contracting in this country is unlawful. Any form of forced contracting is unlawful. And that includes, if you think back, well, I've signed this, but you weren't in the right mind. You weren't aware that you were contracting. Well, that's forced contracting. So a lot of people sort of go around saying about that this is so bad, and I'm doing it now, I'm telling you how bad it is. But there's a solution, and that solution lies within the court system itself. You know, we believe that the police are there to protect us, but they're not. They're not. They're just there as corporate officers these days. There are some good police, some very good police, but unfortunately they're becoming few in numbers as they stand up for their oaths and things, and then eventually not get given any more work and get sidelined to desk jobs. So it's down to us to stand up for the law, and the only way to stand up for the law without walking into a police station is to walk into a court. Now, the problem is the court system's changed, and it's changed quite a lot recently, and we were told that there was these high courts in all the regional areas. Now they're not. A high court, there is only one high court, and that's the High Court in London. And the reason I say that is because you may rely on that information one day, and one day very soon, because the only way to challenge something that's going on locally is at a higher level, and the only higher level is the High Court. We're told that the regional courts in Leeds, Manchester, I think a couple of other places, but they're not anymore. They're just private rooms that are available for hire by these QCs, Queen's Counsel. That's what QC stands for. They're not judges, They're just people that have earned their position by keeping a clean nose within their profession, and that means that they've made many deals and such like to stay in that position. You know, when you look at how bad the system is, you know, it can only be that bad by the people maintaining that position of the system. So QCs are probably the worst people in the world to rely on, even though we're told that they have a silk and all this sort of thing. And the reason I say that is because there's one prominent case at the moment in the public eye where people have been asked to write letters, and that is to one Robert Green. He has stood up for a little girl who's been abused in the system and dealt with through these private family courts, the same as I have. And he's been asked to have people have letters written to him. Now, he has got a QC telling him to do that. That can only be to find out what support he's got and things like that of the system. So if anybody was planning on doing that, I would ask you to think about that. You know, by all means do it, but think about why you're doing it and who you're giving that information to, and especially anybody watching this video. You see, I've been in that position where I've been asked by QC to have letters written for the court. I mean, one of my friends here is a witness to that, because I asked him to write a letter, didn't I? What good it did was nothing. They just established what I had in terms of defence, what I actually had, what support I had, and that way they could...
quick word.
Yeah. The reason they've stolen them is because I've never been held on trial for anything. Not a real trial. I've been put on in what you might term as a star chamber. I think that's the right way, isn't it?
More like it.
Where when the system doesn't know how to deal with individuals, what they used to do is have these private... I'm stood here because the system either makes you or it breaks you. And being about that far away from suicide, you know, and things like that after what's happened, not knowing where to turn, because the legal people all are in the same club, they're in the club of the bar, they look after each other, and nobody will tell on each other. You know, as rooms where they used to basically pounce on you with everything they've got, try and embarrass you as much as they can, and you know, most people will end up committing suicide, and it's mostly psychological warfare basically on the citizen. But we're powerful individuals, and I'm talking about is unheard of, and those that have heard of it are just talking about it because they've heard of it. I'm here to tell you about what's going on as a victim of this system. I've had my children stolen from me by the state. They've stolen my children. Now,
say that again. Say that again.
So,
yeah.
I'm going to start. Are you ready to start?
Oh, sorry.
So 1, 2, 3.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. Genuinely mean that. It's great that, you know, it's a few familiar faces that I've seen before. Yeah, this is quite a sensitive subject, because what